Hi guys, welcome back. It's been a bloody long time, I know. I don't think I've posted in months. YouTube has basically been a write-off, and to be honest, I say this every time, but I don't have any excuses to why. I've just been very freaking lazy with it. But I'm going to give you a very quick life update and tell you exactly why I'm going to be more consistent with it. So since the last video, I'm pretty sure I was in my gaining phase, and I've now finished that gaining phase. It was very productive. Now I am in bloody prep, as you can hopefully tell by my face. The lighting's not too great, but my face should be a little bit more sunken in, which is nice. So yeah, it's currently Tuesday the 3rd of February, and I started prep on the 28th of December, so between Christmas and New Year. And obviously since then, I've just been in prep, beginning to pull body weight down, pull the body fat off, and get ready for the shows in May, June. Yeah, May and June. I've got like 4 lined up. So I'll talk about the shows and stuff in later videos, because as I said, I'm going to be consistent, and I'll do a proper video breaking down every show and what my plans are and what my goals are for each of those shows. But as I said, I've been in prep now since the 28th of December, and it's been very productive so far. My starting position was very good. I was about 10-11 kilos over my previous stage weight. I am now, let me just get this correct, 60. I'm now like 5 kilos down within the first 5 weeks of prep. So a very productive start, which only leaves me like 5-6 kilos away from being stage lean and what I predict to be around my lightest body weight of this prep. So we've got like 17 weeks to pull off 5-6 kilos. So obviously we're in a very good position. I'm the strongest I've ever been. Training in the gym, performance, the best it's ever been. I feel great. Like, life is very good. Still coaching, obviously, as you can tell, we're in the office. And yeah, life is very good, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm just excited to do this competitive season, be consistent with the YouTube. I'm still consistent on Instagram, so if you're not following me on there, go follow me and you'll know exactly what's happening every single day. But yeah, I'm just excited. And then obviously it'll be summer and it's the World Cup, and I'm going to stay leaner over summer. I'm just very excited, as you can probably tell. But anywho's, today's video, I'm going to go through my back session, which is on a Friday. I actually filmed this, or filmed the clips for this, like a week and a half ago now. So I've just not got around to doing the intro, this little part. I've done the voiceover, I've put the clips together, I've just not done this part. So that's a very quick update on where I'm at. A very brief update of what's happened since the last YouTube video. But as I said, in future videos, what I'll do is I'll just go through in more detail the whole prep, everything like that, and everything I've got planned. So yeah, as I said, we'll go through the back session today. Enjoy the video as usual. If you like it, actually like it, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, all of that. Sick. Let's get into the voiceover of the session. Yo, brothers. Welcome to the voiceover of the session. As I said, this is Friday's back session, which is a bit of a banger. So if you're struggling for a back session, literally copy this. It's going to cover all bases and grow you a thick, wide, freaking back, dudes. So let's get straight bloody into things. So start off with 2 sets of a single arm bench supported pull down. And if you've like been going to the gym, or even if you've not been living under a rock, you've probably seen this exercise before. And in my opinion, this is probably the best lat exercise that you can do, okay? With it being on a cable, obviously you can adjust the height, you can move the bench around, and you can just pretty much make it fit you as perfectly as possible. Also, with the D handle as well, just allows some freedom of the wrist movement, which is obviously very beneficial. And again, it just makes it as comfortable and as easy for you as you like it to be, and make it just fit you as perfectly as you can. So
the main cues here, right? There's so many things that you can go through, and you could probably talk about this all day, but it is pretty simple. Okay, you mainly just want to focus on bringing that elbow down in towards your hip. And I think a common issue people have here is they just get into that stretch position and they just yank their elbow into them. Okay, and like, yes, that's going to target your lat, but I think you can have a little bit more rationale and a little bit more thinking behind this. So the main thing I really like to cue in my head is when I'm pulling out of that stretch position, I'm thinking elbow down first and then into my torso, rather than just pulling it straight towards me. That's just going to keep your shoulder in a little bit of a better position and just give you a little bit more leverage to your lats. And I promise you, if you can think about that, the connection is probably going to be much, much better. So as I said, 2 sets here. I do top set on the left arm, top set on the right, and then back off on the left, back off on the right. Another point here is just always make sure you're actually lining the bench up properly to the cable on either side. So that's the lats started. Pretty toast after that, I can't lie. They feel bloody brilliant. I then go into the hip hinge of the session. So usually this would be just a standard conventional deadlift, but I have had a few lower back issues recently, which isn't great. So just whilst I'm sort of treating that, recovering from that, I've been going with the 45-degree hip extension, which not a lot of many people use. Obviously the Gyaldem do quite a lot, but it's actually pretty good and pretty beneficial for blokes as well, especially if you're someone who does have back issues, especially lower back issues. So again, the main things I'm thinking about here is getting as much spine movement as possible, so I can try and take away the glutes and the hamstrings from this movement. Of course, right, with any hip hinge, you're going to get some glute and hamstring. You're not going to be able to avoid it completely, but with that slight cue in your head, you should be able to load the erectors as much as possible. So just thinking about moving my spine as much as I can, and when I get into that contracted position at the top, thinking about squeezing my erectors. And to be fair, it actually feels really, really good. I'm doing this twice a week at the minute. I also do it on my lower day as well. A little bit more hamstring and glute focused on that, but still, I'm trying to just basically bias that whole posterior chain when I do this in the leg day. In this session, it's just mainly erector focus. And as I said, it actually feels pretty good. So 2 sets there. I do both with just the same load. So it'll end up being like a 10 to 12 on the first set. And then the second set ends up being like an 8 to 10. And this seems to feel pretty good for me. I think anything lower rep than that probably just isn't going to be great from an accuracy standpoint. I then go into a upper back movement. So a chest supported T-bar row. Again, I'm doing this twice per week just because I'm not a fan of many of the chest supported rows that are in RT. So on the Friday session, I just set the handles slightly wider. So I'm going to be biasing a little bit more of that upper back. And again, like, this is such like a broken record thing to say, but you have to focus on moving your scapula here as much as possible. So when you're in that stretch position, you're thinking about wrapping your chest around that pad as much as possible and stretching that upper back musculature as much as you can. A common issue I see here with a lot of people, and sometimes even I do this, especially on my top sets, is getting into that stretch position, getting into full protraction, but then almost hinging a little bit through your hips as well. So you're not really lengthening your upper back anymore doing that. You're just putting more load through your erectors. So try and minimize that as much as you can. So go to the point where your upper back is fully stretched, but not to the point where you're hinging more through your hips and just loading those erectors more, because obviously this is an upper back biased movement. From there, I'm literally thinking about squeezing a pencil in the middle of my back. Obviously, I haven't got a pencil strapped to my back, but that is what I'm thinking about in my head. Scapular retraction, big squeeze at the top, and this feels really, really good. Again, both sets here, I aim for sort of 8 to 10. On my other session, when I do this, I do a 5 to 8 and then an 8 to 10 as well. So a little bit of a variance within the rep ranges. From here, I then go into a pull-up, which I haven't done these in so long. I've been running them now for like a month, and they are so, so good. I think because there's so many machine variants of this like kind of pull down now, the pull-up almost gets a little bit overlooked, to be honest. But it's really fucking good. It feels good. And I think if you can get really good at pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, body weight pull-ups, like, your back will be pretty dense. And I don't really have a focus here. Like, I'm going to be getting a decent amount of upper back, but also a good amount of like teres as well. So like your upper lat, which I think is really beneficial, especially with men's physique. It's going to give you that width across the across like the top of your back and into your lats as well. So 2 sets here again. I'm actually doing both of these weighted, which is pretty cool. First set again, I'll aim for like a 5 to 8 rep range, and then the second set 8 to 10. You'll notice as a common theme, I don't really go above 10 reps on many exercises. I think for me, working between 5 to 10 reps is just the best and what I've seen the most improvement in my physique from, and also just what I enjoy the most. So 2 sets there. That ties in some more upper back and some lat. I then go into a horizontal machine row. So this is heavily lat bias for me with the way I've set this up, doing it single arm, just so I can align as best as possible. And you can see I've got my non-working arm bracing against the pad just to give me that extra stability, and I'm almost shuffled over to the working side slightly just so I can align with this machine as best as possible. I also do put a D handle on this, again a little bit more freedom of the wrist. I like to be able to move freely through the wrist joint, just find it a little bit more comfortable, and it helps with the connection. With this machine as well, it is stupidly heavy in the length and drops off substantially into the shortened range, into that contracted position, which at this point of the session is obviously good, but this machine almost does it too much. It drops off too much. So the D handle here just changes that a little bit more. It makes it a little bit heavier in the shortened range, but it's still got a solid profile of being heavier in the stretch and dropping off into the short, but just not as aggressive as it would be without the D handle. Same cues here as the single arm pull down. Obviously they're both lat bias movements. So instead of just pulling my elbow in towards me, I'm thinking about dragging it down to the floor first and scraping it along the floor into my hip. And then when I go into the eccentric and into the stretch, I'm thinking about pushing my elbow down and away from me rather than just letting it move out of my body. Okay, that for me is a huge cue, and it's really helped me to connect with my lats and probably bring them up now to be one of my strongest body parts, which is great. So again, 2 sets here, both sort of between 6 to 10 reps. Again, the common theme, I don't really go above 10 reps because it just feels good for me personally. So that is the session covered. It's a very short session, not many exercises, but I find it just works best for me. I can get some really good quality work done without having loads and loads of different exercises and just towards the back end of the session just sort of fizzling out. So for me, this session is absolutely perfect. You're ticking off every aspect of the back musculature, getting plenty of stimulus, which is exactly what we want. So that is it, boys. That is the voiceover done. If you've enjoyed the video, obviously please like, please subscribe, share it to your story if you're watching. That'll be very helpful. And as I said at the start of the video, we're back now. We're going to be consistent throughout this prep. And yeah, thanks for watching. See thee.